Hi, this is Father Paul Seaman, pastor at St. George in beautiful Tinley Park, Illinois. Welcome to my room. It's not anywhere near ready for real habitation yet, but there's been a lot of going on here at the parish. And so I just wanted to talk to you about a few things, mainly having to do with scripture. And so the other day at morning mass, we had the reading about a woman who came to Jesus asking that he would heal her daughter who was sick. I just want to read this for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Okay, so this is from Matthew chapter 15, starting at verse 21. Then Jesus went from that place and withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman of that district came and called out, "Have pity on me, Lord, son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not say a word in answer to her. His disciples came and asked him, "Send her away, for she keeps calling out after us." He said in reply, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel." But the woman came and did him homage, saying, "Lord, help me." He said in reply, "It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of the masters." Then Jesus said to her in reply, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed from that hour. What a great story. I think that there's a lot of elements in this story that are really interesting. And so I just want to share them with you and hope that you enjoy this. Uh, First of all, this is a woman, okay? A woman who comes to Jesus to talk to him about an issue that she's having. It's unusual for a woman to just address a man. Even more so, she was a Canaanite woman. Canaanites were deadly enemies to Jews. They hated each other. And so for this woman, this Canaanite woman, to come to Jesus, a Jew, was really pushing the boundaries on a lot of the ordinary social norms of that time. So she comes to Jesus, and we know that this is unusual too because we see it in St. John's Gospel when Jesus talks to the woman at the well, where he addresses her, asking for a drink of water. And she even says, "You, a man and a Jew, talk to me." She happened to be a Samaritan, another group that the Jewish people at the time had a problem with. So we see these norms being broken down. In St. John's Gospel, it's Jesus approaching the woman, but here in St. Matthew's story of the Canaanite woman, it is the woman who approaches Jesus. So lots of walls are breaking down here in this story right from the get-go. She uses a Jewish title for Jesus. She says, "Have pity on me, Lord, son of David." Of course, David was the great king of Israel, and David uh, was an ancestor of Joseph, Jesus' earthly father, and so he is thought of as being from the house of David. And so for her to recognize that Jesus is a son of David is a recognition by this Gentile woman of Jesus' deep and important and valued Jewish roots. So she says, "My daughter has a demon." Well, of course, a demon could mean many things in the ancient world. It could mean some kind of physical illness. It could be mental illness. It could be a demon. So demons were always blamed for anything that was wrong, whether it be physical or mental or psychological, or in fact a demon. So she needs help. Her daughter is in desperate need of help. So the disciples' response to her calling out after Jesus is, "Get lost. Get her out of here. She's really irritating us. This is very inconvenient at this moment to have this woman shouting out after us." Not putting the apostles in the best light, huh? So Jesus says, "Look, I'm only here for the lost sheep of Israel." Now, that's an important thing. Jesus is saying that his mission is only for the Jewish people, and that's it. He's got nothing else to do with anyone else. And that's a problem. That's a problem. His sense of his mission at this point seems to be very narrow. And the woman's response to that is simply, Lord, help me. How many times have you prayed that prayer? I've prayed that prayer. Lord, help me. So simple and direct. And Jesus still isn't having any of it. He says, look, I can't throw the food of the children to the dogs. Pretty striking, huh? Pretty harsh, actually, to think that he would address this woman and compare her to a dog. So again, it's about that whole thing of Canaanites and Jews just not having anything to do with each other. And finally, of course, we hear what she says. She says, well, Lord, even the dogs get the scraps from the master's table. What a great response. I love that response because she's just not having any of it. She's just getting up to Jesus and saying, look, come on, you got to help me out here. And I think that there's a certain amount of almost humor, involved in this, that he's bantering, they're going back and forth on this. And I think that a lot of times when we read scripture, we're so afraid to see the humor in it. And there's actually a load of humor in the Bible. There's things in there that are actually very funny. And we're going to talk about that some other time, I hope. Um, so Jesus hears her say, look, even the dogs get the scraps from the master's table. And I can just imagine Jesus looking at her saying, you're good. You're good. And something happens in this moment. Now, scripture scholars have a couple different ways of interpreting this story. They say that Jesus was uh, unaware. He didn't have a sense of his calling to go beyond the people of Israel. And so what he does is he's sticking to the playbook as he knows it. But in this encounter with this woman, a veil is raised from his eyes and he understands himself better and his mission better of who he's here for. And we see in this story that his mission opens up beyond that of just Israel, but to the Gentile world as well, because as we hear at the end of the story, the woman and her request is granted and her daughter gets better. Fantastic stuff, great stuff. And it's really a good thing that Jesus went beyond the Jews because we probably wouldn't be Catholic, we wouldn't be Christian if Jesus didn't make it very clear that he was moving out of just taking care of the Israelites. So I think the one thing that I love about this is the banter that goes on between Jesus and the woman. Uh, it's clever, but it's more than clever, it's enlightening. The other way that it's sometimes seen is that Jesus is in this conversation because he's trying to draw out the faith of the woman. That he wants to seem like he's resisting helping her because he wants to see her faith and he wants her to say it. He wants her to establish herself as a real and true and faithful woman. And so he sees that and he says, "Oh woman, great is your faith." Gosh, don't you hope that Jesus says the same thing to us when our time comes, that he would see our faith, that he would recognize it? This is a woman who is very desperate for her daughter. She is determined. She's not going to let Jesus get off the hook too easily. She's clever and she's not afraid of Jesus and she's not afraid of breaking down barriers. And either is Jesus. And it's the coming together of two absolutely fascinating people in the same moment. This Canaanite woman, I think she's got a lot of lessons for us, that our prayer needs to be persistent, it needs to be real, it needs to be based in faith, and we can't give up on it, as she didn't give up. And I think that this is a woman that, well, maybe all of us would be better off to know. I can't wait to meet her. All right, everybody, I hope that it's a beautiful day for you. God bless you. Please take care, put on your mask, stay socially distanced, and always be faithful. And I'm looking forward to the day when I can see you in church.